Welcome. My name is Philip, and I'll be teaching this course on how to create a Q app. So the only prerequisite to taking and following along on this course is knowing JavaScript and React. So React is a JavaScript framework, and we'll be using it to showcase how to create a Q app. So the purpose of this course is to get you familiar with the Q app API and also how I structured my Qblog and Qmail, and taking that knowledge to help you structure your Q app. Now, of course, this is all new, so if you're able to find a better way to structure an application, then tell the community, and we'll all learn and we'll create better Q apps. And ultimately, this whole course is to show front-end developers, especially, that it's super easy to create a full stack application on Quartal because most of the things are created for you on the back end in terms of authentication, security, data hosting. And so it's going to be really, I think you're going to appreciate it. Okay, so what are the resources that you could use to help you create a Q app? Well, of course, you have these videos, but most importantly, you'll have the API. So you have two sources. One is you'll be able to see all the endpoints, which allows you to access QDN, which is the Quartal Data Network. And this is how it looks like. So that's the middle one over here, the middle link, api.quartal.org, and you have all the APIs. But when creating a Q app, we made it easier for you through through a function that is only available when accessing your Q app through the UI called request Quartal. So we'll see that here. So if you go to quartal.dev, which is, well, this is the API website, but let's say you go to the home page. So you'll see the home page, and on the top right, this is quartal.dev. You go to documentation, it'll bring you to the API docs. And over here, you have Quartal request. Sorry, that's the name of the function, Quartal request. And let's go to one example. So let's go to get user account over here. So let's say, so this is an example of a Quartal request, and this is only available when accessing your application through the UI. So for example, if you're developing on a React application through and you do npm run dev, and you're testing it out through your browser outside of the UI, your browser is going to say, hey, Quartal request does not exist, right? So just keep that in mind. And yes, so over here, you'll be able to copy this and then just paste it, and we try to make it as easy as possible for you. And also you have the responses, so which is pretty important to know what will be inside of account when you do a certain request. So you'll be able to see all the information here. And don't worry about this URL here. This is I'm accessing it through I'm not accessing it through the domain, which is quartal.dev. Okay, so those are the two primary resources that you have, and of course you have the Discord, Q app Discord, which you ask a question, and will very happily answer your questions. Okay, so those are the resources, and now is what are we going to be creating to kind of teach you how to create a Q app. So we'll be creating a social media application similar to Twitter, so we'll have a max of 250 characters and all that. But more importantly is what are the different Q app API or requests or actions, however you want to call it, that we'll be using. So I want to try to use as many of those Quartal requests as possible to teach you. But to start off, we're going to be concentrating on authentication, of course, because we need authentication to create a user post. And then we're going to also show you how to display posts, how to allow your users to block names that they don't want. You know, if somebody's publishing like whatever that you don't like, then not that you as a developer don't like, but as the user doesn't like, they'll be able to block that name and not see content from them. We'll also be creating replies to those posts, displaying the replies, and updating posts as well, and much more. This is just the beginning. The first series will the first couple videos will only be up to displaying posts, and then every week I'll try to do more and more videos. Okay, yeah, so let's start um, with setting up the application. So the way I'll do it is I'll be creating a React application through Vite or Vite in French. So you do to start a bare bone React application through Vite, you just have to do npx create Vite, and then the name of your application, I'll be calling it Qorbit. You could call it whatever you want, and then ending a dash dash template React. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention you need Node.js, of course, but if you're a developer, you know that already. Um, yeah, so then we'll create our application, and then we'll install certain packages that will be needed for that I'll be using. So Material UI for styling and for components, buttons, whatever, inputs and all that. We'll also be using React Router DOM for the different for navigation for the different routes. We'll also be using this package short unique ID to create unique IDs when creating resources, which are like, for example, if you create a post, let's say a user creates a post, well, um, it has to be unique, right? So one way of doing that is using a package like this, and it creates like a random, like let's say 10-digit number, and they will be unique. You won't be because the thing is though, if you publish, let's say a post using the same identifier as a previous post, well, you'll override it. So you want it to be unique. Anyways, next is I'll be using Redux Toolkit as a global state manager. This is, I think a lot of people are familiar with Redux, but Toolkit just makes it a lot easier and a lot less boilerplate. And lastly is React Hostify, which is uh, pretty much an easy thing to use to create notifications on the fly. So for example, let's say the user creates a post, well then you could have like a success pop-up, successfully created. And well, more importantly for errors, if there's an error, a red pop-up will appear and say, hey, yeah, your creation did not go through because of whatever, whatever. Okay, so let's stop there and go to the terminal. Okay, so let's do the first command, which is to create the React application through Vite. Let's do that. Okay, so once that's done, let's go into the folder. I'm going to open terminal on that directory. And now I'm going to install all those packages I mentioned earlier. So that might take a while. Okay, so let's start. Let's try to publish our first version of Qorbit. Okay, so first thing that we'll do is just we're going to clear out some of the stuff that Vite put in. So we're just going to write like hello world. All right, over here. Okay, and in order to for it to work properly in the Vite config, you have to put a base param with a relative, so / a relative root, or else it won't work. Okay, so the next thing we'll do is we're going to build our application. So npm run build, and that's going to create a dist folder. And what we're gonna do is we're going to zip that dist folder and then publish it on QDN. This shouldn't take too long. It's a small application at the moment. Okay, 5 seconds. All right, there you see the HTML and the assets. And now we're gonna go to Quartal. All right, so the way you access this is you go on QApps, and then on the top right, you have Publish QApp. All right, select your name, Qorbit in my case. Choose the file. All right, so we're gonna go into Qorbit and that dist folder. Well, I shouldn't have got in, but okay. So what you do is you create a zip. So the way I do it is send to compress file to make it a zip. You could do it whichever other way. And what I'm gonna do is actually, instead of publishing, I'm just gonna preview it, and we should be able to see hello world. Hello world. There you go. Okay, so it's pretty easy to just publish it. Important thing is you do that vite config base configuration, and then you do npm run build, and then you just zip the this folder. All right. So I'm just going to show you part one of the application, which is setting up the React application. I'm not going to go line by line because that's just going to be too boring for us. So I'm just going to open that up, and it will be accessible to you as well. You'll be able to download and look at it as well. So I'm just going to give you an overview. So right now I'm just going to open it up so we only see that part one. And what I have set up here are pretty much the routing with React Router and also the theming with Material UI. So if we go to main here, also it's really important here when doing your routing with React Router, you have to put a base URL, and you have access to the base URL using this variable window underscore QDN base. I'll just show you in a second how that like how that works, how you could access that through the browser, just to check it out. It's pretty cool. But yeah, you just have to put it on the base name, and that's it. All right, let's check it out. Let's go to kubelog and see its base name. So if you go to DevTools, and you're gonna have to navigate to the QApp iframe. Wait, I'll just show you in a sec. Let's first go to kubelog. Let's open it. Accept. Okay, so here in top, now we're gonna have to go into the kubelog iframe. And here, if you go window dot underscore, uh, you'll see QDN base, and that's the base URL you're gonna have to put for React Router under base name. Okay, so that's pretty much the only setup that you have to do with React and Vite is put that base name and also do that configuration that I just showed you earlier. And then you just do npm run build, put your disk into a zip folder, and everything will work. Anyways, going back here to app.jsx, over here, all these wrappers are important. We have only one route at the moment, home. But the other wrappers provider is just the Redux store. Theme provider is for Material UI to provide theming for your components. And we also have notifications. That's for your those pop-ups I was talking about earlier, success, error, and all that. Oh yeah, for theming, in order to know if you're in dark or light mode, you also have access to this window QDN theme. So dark in this case. So let's try light. Oh yeah, I have to go under the iframe, the QApp iframe. Let's go back there. Where is it? Where's it? Okay, there. And let's do that again. And now we have light. So you're able to know in your app in your React application if you're on dark or light mode, and with Material UI it's pretty easy. All right, let's go to home now. We just have home in a div just to show that where we are. Well, very quickly, let's just show you what I have under notification. It's not really important for you to know, but you know, if it's error, it'll do something for error. If it's success, it'll do something for success. But anyways, you could use a different package or library to do your notifications. The more important one is the Redux store. So let's go there. It's going to be under global states. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay, so here we have two sections. We have notifications, not really important, and we have auth. Auth is where we're going to store the authentication when the user comes in. So if you go here, I have this thing, user. And yeah, so I got lost because what confused me is I have TypeScript here, which I thought I was doing this in JavaScript. I am, so I'm going to be changing that in the future video. But for now, just ignore it. If you want to just convert TS to JS and remove all the typing. I actually recommend you do it in TypeScript, but for this tutorial, I just wanted to do it in JavaScript because then everybody can understand. Okay, so that was the global wrappers where I'm going to be doing logic um, for authentication and other stuff. And anything, so if you saw in the global wrapper, you'll see that all I'm returning is the children, which will be anything in between that wrapper. So route, that's pretty much it. So that's the purpose of a global wrapper. You're able to do logic that affects all your routing in my case. Anyway, so that is just a boilerplate setup to start us off. So we have all the important things. So we have routing, we have theming, um, and we have a global state. That's pretty much what's needed to set up our application. And I'll see you in the next video.